All right, so welcome to our version of how to build a TEDx event.
I'm David Schwinell on the left.
And I'm Nick Meddy. We're co-curators of TEDxMontreal in Montreal, Canada.
So this is just kind of our experience on what we've learned.
So the first thing, how to recruit speakers for your event.
It's really about the hidden gems. This I want to emphasize more than anything. So if you remember the good TED Talks, the really good TED Talks that strike you, they're rarely about people you knew before you watched the talk.
Yeah. So
really strive at finding the interesting people doing interesting work that haven't yet had the venue to expose their work.
Yeah.
So don't look for hot shots to put on your speaker list to attract a crowd or whatnot. Just really focus on interesting.
Yeah.
people.
So try to go to a bunch of conferences, local meetups, stuff like that. Meet people, at these local events, at these diverse events. And what we're trying to point out here is enabling serendipity. And meeting people, networking, so you can be recommended to other people that you would not necessarily have heard about.
This whole thing, these three things about local and diverse speakers, is all about, to make it happen, it's all about social engineering your way into serendipity.
Introduce yourself as a TEDx organizer. Let people know what's going on, that you're organizing this event, and they'll recommend people. So that's what we think, how you should go about recruiting speakers.
So this is a musical performance. We had our event, and we want to encourage you to do the same. We think having a nice, interesting performance, maybe with a talk inside, it really goes a long way in stimulating your whole brain.
Yeah, just change it up, make the crowd feel something different, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind as you move forward. All right, so now that you've identified people that you want to meet with, how do you go about meeting with these people? What do you talk about is the next sort of focus of our presentation here. So the first thing is keep the meetings focused. Try to just plan for like a 30-minute meeting. So when you email this person or call them or whatever way you're going to contact them, tell them, let's meet up. I just want to meet with you for 30 minutes to talk about a potential TEDx talk that you can deliver. When you're in that meeting, make sure that you don't go off on too many tangents, even if they have really interesting work. You really try to focus in on the idea worth spreading.
This is something we want to emphasize, and that we definitely learned the hard way. It's too tempting to kind of branch out and go into like the nitty gritty of the work, but constantly try to explicitly remind yourself what's the idea worth spreading, what's the insight, the thing that the speaker wants to convey to the audience.
Think of yourself as the audience, as everyone, and how do you, when you're speaking to this person, ask yourself, how would this, how would other people react to this? How would they feel? What is this evoking in me emotionally, physically, and stuff like that? And think of these things when you're meeting with this person to make sure you leave the meeting with an idea of what they're going to speak about.
And when you leave that meeting, it needs to be explicitly clear in your mind what the idea worth spreading is.
Yeah. All right, so next, now that you met with this person, how do you follow up with them? So the first thing we think that's really important, and we're going to touch upon the point here, is having a comprehensive team of people that you can talk to that you can talk about what you met with. So you met with somebody that talks about some sort of scientific process. You want to meet with a team of people that have a bunch of different backgrounds, that not scientists. You have artists, lawyers, or stuff like that you can bounce the idea off of and see how they react, because that's essentially what your audience is going to be, right? It's going to be people from a bunch of backgrounds. So keep that in mind when you're sort of choosing speakers.
In passing, we want to touch on the fact that if you're just organizing the team, don't get tricked into thinking you need to have your team all set up and you need somebody in every seat or whatnot. Just get started. You'll find that over time, a lot of interesting people come together.
Yeah, the more people you meet with and the more people you discuss those meetings with, you'll get an idea of what you're looking for in speakers. So just sort of keep that in mind and move forward, and don't wait too long to build the whole team. So the next thing, coaching and not
coaching.
Feeling shy.
It's if you've organized conferences before, that's very unusual. But we think it's very important in TEDx conferences. In most conferences, you kind of just give a time spot to the speaker and that's it. But it's important to realize that your job as a TEDx organizer, that's where since you've kind of reverse engineered what makes a TED Talk successful, is to bring that experience to the speaker.
So you'll harness that experience that you've spent, these hours watching TEDx or TED Talks, online and stuff like that, and try to apply it to these meetings and make sure that you don't criticize the speaker, but what you're trying to do is build a great talk and make sure that their idea is as powerful as it could be and should be for a TEDx talk.
Most speakers, in our experience, really find that useful, that coaching. And you're essentially, think of yourself as an audience once again, somebody who knows nothing about the field and the speaker and kind of figures out what's specific insights are interesting, what's not so
Yeah.
much interesting.
Exactly. And then
And
you know,
really-
expand upon that, focus on that, and it's
Don't feel shy at all. There's no worries in doing that.
yeah. Right. So the venue. So quickly, what we think, this is something to avoid. A lecture hall with a bunch of, what reminds you of biology class or something like that. Just avoid these feelings and try to focus in on something that's much more interactive with people. People can, sit down with each other, talk about the talk that they just, heard.
The way we look at it is, the event is essentially just, the speakers are just an excuse to get these interesting people together.
Yeah.
If it were just for the talks, they could stay at home and watch equally good TED Talks or whatnot. But now you kind of lure these people in, and you want to really maximize this diverse field of people and get them to sit down together, meet interesting people, and really maximize for serendipity. That's kind of the way we look at it.
Yeah.
We force these people together from a wide array of fields and just get them talking.
So as we said, it was important to recruit speakers, but it's as important to build an audience and make sure that all the people have a great experience.
The speakers are important insofar as they're a signal to what kind of people are going to be in the event.
So keep that in mind when you're building your event. And we just want to end off here with a picture from our event where we have the organizers and the speakers from the event, and just showing you, that it seems from this picture that, everyone had a great time and we all sort of bonded in different ways. And, the experience is everything. So when you're building your event, focus on speakers, but also focus on the experience that you want everyone involved, to have. And that's it. So hope this helps you out on building your TEDx event.